Yesterday, it was already time for the third update for Flight Simulator 2024. Wondering what has been fixed and what the results are? Let's roll the intro and then let's look at the details. So yesterday, already the third update was released for Flight Simulator 2024. And it contains tons of fixes, not only for the basic simulator, but also for the aircrafts, also for the controllers, but also for the cockpits and several other functions like the gaming modes. In this video, we're going to go to a few of them because going to all of them individually, that will take us, I would say, at least 2-3 hours, I would say, because there are too many items which have been fixed, which is of course good to see that they have been fixed. So the version of, I would say as first point, right, is being updated to version 1.2.7.0. The update can be received by simply going to the store, and in the store you will find the option here on the right side which says downloads, and there you will have the option to check for the update because the update is pretty big, right? The update is 4.5 gig according to the, I would say, installation files, and in my case it took a few minutes before it was updated, and after that I could start Flight Simulator again. The first time you will do it, it will take a little bit longer before the Flight Simulator starts, right? It looks like that they need to, say, pull some new things from the cache, from the server end, but I would say not extremely long as we were, I would say, kind of used to in Flight Simulator 2020. So what they did is they made a huge change which you need to be aware of, right? So they say to ensure you have the full control of your own library, available non-Microsoft ported content is disabled by default, so you can choose when to have them activated in the simulator. So keep that in mind that for the non-Microsoft ported content, you need to enable it manually. If you don't do it, you can't use it. Besides that, after this update, aircraft which were previously available to select will need to be enabled in the library to become visible again. They again disabled some of the things, so be aware of that. Then the last thing, the Marketplace 2020 ported content will be available soon, which means likely somewhere early 2025 based on the latest development webcast. So scrolling down to the packages, right? So what did they fix? Well, they fixed a lot of things. First of all, the stability and performance. They fixed a lot of crashes, as you can see, right? The first 4 items are all related to crashes. Then they also reduced the latency for the HTTP request, which is doing onto the backend, right, to get this data. And they also fixed crashes with the electronic flight bag, right? It is nice, I would say, a flight pad which you have inside the aircraft, but which you can also open already, I would say, if you just started the simulator. Then for those who played with the Tobii eye tracker, which I would say follows the eyes, there was was an issue with that, and so they fixed the crash when you go to the hardware settings, right, which I would say shouldn't affect, say, normal mode, but especially if you want to go into those hardware settings mode. Then there's a safe mode. Safe mode is nothing new, I would say, if you're used to Flight Simulator 2020, right? So if the game crashed for some reason, it would start in a safe mode to prevent that the same crash would happen. Based on that, what it would do is it would disable all the content in the community folder, but in this case, it will disable it from the community folder, the marketplace, and from Flight Simulator 2022. So keep that in mind. They made some changes to the safe mode, and then you can re-enable the disabled package manually via the My Library mode, which is the new one in Flight Simulator 2024. Then they fixed some other crashes in photo mode, but also there was an interesting one if you've got more than 32 logical cores in your CPU. The previous recommendation was to reduce the number of cores, which you could do, of course, by disabling them. But now they implemented a fix, so you can benefit from the 32 cores in your machine if you, of course, have them. Then there's some other things like the edit integrity check on the stream packages, right, which are the ones coming from the cloud. They changed the Coherent GT frame distribution systems and view refresh rate to better match the Flight Simulator 2020 behavior, and they reduced the stutter on the game when the panel camera is opened, optimized the boot time. Well, I didn't see it yet because my experience was that it was slower, and they fixed the low power mode activating when watching the credit screen. That's simply to reduce the, I would say, power mode, right? Because it doesn't make any sense if it uses high performance mode. General bug fixes. These are, I would say, related to general things. And the one which stood out for me was this one, right? They fixed the NVIDIA DLSS anti-aliasing noise. A lot of people reported that when using the DLSS mode in Flight Simulator 2024, in combination with NVIDIA, the, I would say, animations, or especially the cockpit, was not very sharp. It looks like that they removed some parts. I'm not sure if it really has improved because I didn't have the time to try it out yet. But looks like that they took that, I would say, feedback as a serious action point. Other than that, a lot of other fixes with, I would say, localization bugs, intensity of runway lights, glider spawning as passive aircraft, input when running as avatar, more sounds being too loud. So you can see that they really took over all the feedback which they received from the community, really serious, and they finally fixed some things. Then going to the backwards compatibility bug fixes. These are, I would say, for the aircrafts, right, which were ported directly from Flight Simulator 2020. They sometimes cause some issues, and that's what we call the backwards compatibility mode. There's some few fixes now in it for them. So likely if you're using an older aircraft, which officially is not supported with 2024, I should say, almost want to say 2020, then that has been also fixed for now. Jumping to the aircraft list. And the aircraft list is really, 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 really long. I think they almost touched every aircraft in the simulator. And going from the Cessna 172, as you can see, which is a really popular one, up to the Diamond DA62, up to the Airbus helicopters. And if we scroll down further, we can see every single aircraft being called out, because there are some generic fixes which are applicable to multiple aircrafts, as you can see over here. But there also are some specific aircraft fixes, like the Air Tractor AT802, which was missing the tooltips, and also they fixed some various issues in the checklist. The helicopters are there, the airship industries is there, the aviat pits is there, and you can see this list is pretty long. So I'll put a link to this, I would say, full release notes in the video so you can look at it at your own pace, because I'm going really fast, I know. But I simply don't want to spend time on going to each individual aircraft. But again, because that again would cause an enormous long video, because you can see it goes from really the simple aircrafts to the more advanced aircrafts. So really nice. Then we're coming to the aircraft core systems, right? So the failure wear and tear, they reduced the brakes wear rate, as well as they made some updates for the glass cockpits like the G1000 NXI, right? They fixed an issue where the auto-tuning on the approach nav radio frequencies was broken. As well as they fixed an issue where the final waypoint of visual approaches could not be seen on the navigation map. For the Garmin G3000 and 5000, they also implement some fixes. One of them is the auto-tuning part, so likely I'd say that's okay, same functionality as for the G1000, as well as the final one, also there, but also some very specific fixes for the Garmin G3000 and G5000. G3X Touch also received some fixes, mainly the similar ones compared to the above, but there was one special one that fixed an issue where the user could select an incorrect waypoint using the waypoint dialog if enter was pressed while the dialog was still searching for a waypoint. The GNS both received an update, as well as the Primus EPIC 2.0 integrated avionics system. And this continues and continues because there are more systems, and those are, I would say, some of them are specifically for helicopters, right? Like the ProLine 21 integrated avionics system, as well as the UNS-1 EW CBAS flight system management system. Flight planning also received an update because there was in some cases it was locked after doing a medic mission in the main menu. That has been fixed. As well as we now have the latest nav data, right? It updated to navigation data 2412, which was already released a while ago, but that's now also available in Flight Simulator 2024. Also, the terminal VORs, which were incorrectly shown as en route intersections, are now being correct. And also the terminal NDBs were missing. They also have been added. Continuing the list with the EFB, the electronic flight bag. Charts are now loading in the EFB, right? So that was not always the case. It caused some issues. They also fixed the unit conversion rate, which could cause heavy freezes when using the EFB, as well as they fixed the takeoff and landing total distance safety margin on the gross runway because it's different. They added the summary page to the mass and balance, and they fixed some other nice things in this EFB. Aircraft tag. They fixed the issue when coloring color text on the aircraft as well as they changed some model behavior. Modular aircraft are being fixed. The aircraft gameplay overlay, right, the ATC, there was some issues where it was denying the VFR. Passive aircraft, right, they added the Air Mexico and Korean liveries for the following passive aircrafts, the Boeing 787 family, and they fixed some vehicles, right, the catering truck, for example. There was some issues with the position on that. They also improved the lighting for the truck utility Japan and the truck utility 1. And they prevented LODs to pop up on the Pushback 03 Skyship Moss truck. Career mode, awesome fixes. You now have the ability to change the name of the company. So it's not really a fix, it's an added thing. As you can see, it's added here. So that's really cool. And besides that, they fixed tons of things in the career mode because there were a lot of bugs in it. I also found it on the internet, looked at multiple threads, but there were so many bugs. But that has now also been fixed, according to the release notes. Missions. Similar thing, they fixed a lot of things based on the reporting, right? They fixed the aviator performance, but also the mission title not correctly translated. So from simple issues to the more complex issues. And we can go on and on, right? Because you can see also individual mission fixes are there. So really good to see these fixes. Going down, then we're coming to the online services, right? They fixed the career title on the main menu, staying locked after the end of the planned maintenance. And there was also an issue with streaming, right? They removed some packages that have been added during the development for feature test purposes on color adaptivity for vehicles and airplanes, that they removed that one, so likely it caused some issues. Jumping to the world, they also fixed a lot of things like the spikes on the cliffs, the clouds popping when starting a challenge, the bug in the terrain that could occur on a career first flight. So some small fixes, but sometimes really, I would say, more than welcome fixes, I would say. Standard airports, they fixed a lot of airports, and that's a standard list, right? So these are the ICAO codes. Mainly improved in collisions, but also sometimes the lighting and runway has been fixed because there were some issues with it. In some cases, they removed also some things, right? They removed the aircraft baked into the terrain, which was removed from Crow. Then the Lux airports, also some fixes, as well as for the premium airports, some minor fixes, but say still nice. Then surprisingly enough, they also fixed a lot of things for all the world updates, going back to world update number 1. Remember, it took place in Japan. There's now for RJX8 is improved LODs on the multiple airport buildings. Then world update number 2, USA. Also a lot of things, including a fix for the White House LOD popping, as well as the National Radio Astronomy Observatory LOD popping. Then the UK, world update number 3, also fixed a lot of things like vegetation, but also the LOD pops, as you can see. Then the Nordics, only one fix, they improved the collision on building near main terminal. Australia, also a lot of fixes, mainly to bridges and all kind of scenery and ons. So that's really nice to see that they still continue to update these ones. I do expect that users who are using Flight Simulator 2020 also will benefit from this, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I didn't test it out yet. World update number 8, Iberia. Also a lot of POI fixes, as you can see, as well as I would say some vehicle improvements. World update number 10, USA part 2, right? Also a lot of POI fixes, as well as world update number 11, which took place in Canada. Also POI fixes. New Zealand, world update number 12, mainly airport fixes, as well as world update number 13 in Oceania. That one contains mostly POI fixes. If you thought we were there, no, because we are not at the end of the list, because world update number 16, also a lot of POI fixes, no airport fixes, and we're almost there. World number 17, POI fixes for a lot of things like bridges, castles, and other things, based on the feedback of the community. And then almost the last one, yeah, the last one, world update 18, Germany part 2. They also fixed a lot of things like the observatories, but also the terrain issues which were there, which caused some issues. So really nice. And then last but not least, they removed the grass plants and rocks from Tins blobs. So that's the vegetation one. Is it everything? No, ladies and gentlemen, there's more to do. The air traffic. Adding lights on several passive aircrafts. And this is the list of passive aircrafts, right? A long list, as you can see. But this has been added, I would say, to add some more realism. Also, the My Library option now has the option to disable and enable items in the My Library, but it also has the possibility to visualize the community content in the My Library. So that's a new functionality. Peripherals, as we all know, and as you all have seen and all have shown the interest in my videos about, I would say, peripherals, I saw that there were some huge issues, right? People reporting a lot of issues. Then we took, say, I created some new videos about it to help people. And based on that, you can also see that Asobo has taken some actions, mainly for the default input profiles for several reality controllers like the HP Mixed Reality Controller, the HZ5, the Valve Index, and the Windows Mixed Reality Controllers, but also for default things like the keyboard. Then there were also some fixes for peripherals, which caused some issues, like the TWCS throttle default profile, right, was initially fixed the inverted aileron trim on planes, gliders, and other profiles. That one is also fixed in my, I would say, in my video, right? I show you how to fix this one. And there's several other ones, like the Velocity 1 flight sticks, the T-Flight Hot S1, the Hot SX, the side stick X for the Xbox. So a lot of cool fixes are now there for your controllers. So likely most of the issues which you experience with your peripherals are now fixed. Are we there yet? No. I would say the list is so long, right? You can see the scroll wheel here. We're almost there. Activities where World and Friends leaderboards could load infinitely has now been fixed, as well as a backward compatibility fix for interactive points to the flight plan, right? That's the FLT file, are now safe and loaded. Training, some training fixes specifically for the virtual reality, but also, for example, for the helicopter trainings where you had some issues with the Xbox assistance presets, which allow the crash trigger activation on the Xbox. Several other fixes, really nice. And then we are coming to the world photographer mode. Some people report some issues, right? They fixed the time condition when taking a photo, but also experienced some issues when creating photos. That has now been fixed for several of them. I'm not sure if everything has been fixed, but a lot of them are there, right? You can see the dune du pilates, you can see the chimney rocks, the Martinson's antennas detection in the space disguise beyond World Photographer Collection. So cool thing. So if you were not able to pause these missions, then try it again after installing the update. Last but not least, they fixed the music sometimes being cut while loading. Well, that's nice, but not really important. Then we're going to the dev mode, but normally we skip the dev mode, so we're also going to do that, right? This is for developers who are developing content for Flight Simulator 2024. There are still, let's say, a lot of fixes in here, but also some new functionalities here, right? They added a live edition option for contact points position. So also really cool. So if we would go to the top, right? If we would simply go to the top and then search for edit, because that's the interesting new information, then we can see that, I would say, based on this, right? We likely need to say select the top mode. We can see that in total 52 new items have been added, right? So if we're scrolling to the top and then search for edit again, we can see that this is new, right? So the pop-up to propose launching the sim is safe mode, right? That's the one we discussed. But also the integrity check for stream packages is also new. That's feature number 2, which has been added. The third item is the new global variable for the is camera locked. That's, say, to use, for example, I'd say external things like Stream Deck to control the simulator. They also added the Cessna 172 flight seeing adaptive liveries, 2, 9, and 10. So some new liveries for the Cessna 172. As well as they added this one, the regeneration of all the thumbnails for liveries recently added on the Boeing 737. With that, missing tools, tips for the air tractor, flight seeing 15 adaptive added to the helicopter. Interaction to get out of the cockpit on the cockpit door was fixed in the Airship Industry Skyship 600. New functionalities because there are some new liveries for the Boeing 737 MAX 8. So awesome new cool stuff for that, right? You can see S7 Airlines, Qatar Airways, Alaska Airlines, Korean Air, Air Mexico, and they fixed several fixes in the existing ones. And for the 747-400 global supertanker, there are a lot of things being added, right? The APU help blur, the knob emissive, the switches to the before starting engine checklist, The EFB to the cockpit, the EFB takeoff and landing performance tables. These, I would say, are a huge number of items which have been added to an aircraft. Scrolling down the line, we find the LCF Dreamlifter, the EFB takeoff and landing performance tables are there, but also they added the EFB to the cockpit. And similar, they did it for the 787-10, where they also did the same things. So some aircrafts also received some basic functionality which other aircrafts already had. Then the Skyhawk 172, there's a new Flight Seeing 04 livery, so new livery. Cessna Citation CD4, they added the EFB tablet to the cockpit. The Cessna Citation Longitude, non-English localization has been fixed, as well as a highlighting for the exterior inspection checklist items that require checking probes, antennas, drains have been added. Keep that in mind. The Dornier Sea Star, the Frost layer added, they added some static port decal added, and Premius 1, they added made some changes to the aircraft configuration file, as well as the livery config file. I'm not sure if it say that adds anything or does break anything. So these are the 4 items for the Dornier. The Gumball Cabri, they added a Flight Seeing 15 adaptive. Hard Aerospace, they added the max gear extended speed in the flight model config. That's likely to also say have some checks or maybe some external controls which could use it. As well as they added the IS layout on the aircraft icon on the G5000 mic, or mic FD, right, MFD. The Fly-Do hot air balloon, they added a mooring rope. And the Spawn, as the Pilatus PC-14, now has 8 liveries in total. 3 new ones have been added. Did they add more? Yes, the Primus EPIC 2.0 integrated avionics system. They added the automatic resolve option for those FMS messages. And for the EFB, I would say in generic, they added a summary page to the mass and balance. Passenger aircrafts, as mentioned already, some new liveries for the Boeing 787 family. And they added the career ability to change the company name in the career mode, as well as they added the notification display for tire malfunction, right? That's in the missions. We're almost there with those items because there are some more, right? Remove some packages that have been added during the development. Well, added in this case, we could skip it. And then we're coming to some more things like the, I would say, scenery, right? They added taxiway signs, added HC tower lights. And then to the My Library, position to enable and disable options in the My Library, as well as to visualize the community content in the My Library. And I think with that, we're almost there because there was nothing more. Well, we still have one, right? We're at 42 already. 42 new items being added. The propeller crash triggers on the mission fill packages to all training for moments when there are no back on tracks. And the last one in this art is the added onboarding notification when entering World Photographer flight with no photo objective previously completed. That's nice. And with that, we're at the end of this video, right? So we looked at, I would say, a kind of a summary of this update, which is already a lot. And then we specifically looked at things which have been added. Now, based on the, let's say, discussions going on the internet, there are a few things which you might want to check after installing this update. And that's make sure that the community folder is set correctly, because I saw some reports that it was reset back to the default. In my case, it was still okay, but make sure to check that. And also make sure that if you're having, I would say, any community add-ons and you're experiencing crashes, that you first remove them and see if it stabilizes. Here ends the video. I hope you liked it and hope to see you back next time.